just put a picture on it, and you have to go from business to business to find your card, your picture. But every business has like trees and stuff.
All right, it is 6 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Becky, would you like to do roll call?
Bentley? Here. Johnson?
Here.
Reed?
Here.
Bell? Here. I'm looking at the names here. Colin? Here. And Ludwig.
Here. Thank you. Did everybody have an opportunity to review the minutes from the November 6th meeting? Any questions or concerns with the minutes? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes, please?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Give me a second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Any audience items? Ron, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. We've got a motion to reschedule our next meeting from January 1st to January 2nd. Is there any questions or concerns with that from the board? Can I get a motion to move that?
I'll move to reschedule to January 2nd.
Thank you. In a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Perfect. After conversations we had last meeting, it was pretty clear that the community up by Doc Simmer Park, the residents aren't interested in that being a dog park. So today, why don't we have a quick discussion on what options we want to reconsider for that, if we want to reconsider anything within our hierarchy at this time. And then if we do have something, we can kind of make a motion to present that to council. Within our original plans, we had considered a smaller scale playground. Nothing big like what we have at the square or what was being considered in Lost Lake. Something a little bit more low profile, more climbing items. And then maybe a shelter or a picnic table with a grill type space. That was in our original plans. Any other thoughts on what we might want to consider differently? The residents seem to really like the green space. That's what they're using today, at least. Maybe something to keep a lot of that in there, but thoughts from the commission?
I liked that concept a while back, especially with the natural. Some of it was kind of like, if I remember, not a whole bunch of bright colors, but a lot of natural earth climbing, a few little climbing structures.
And there were some natural berms and things too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some natural rolling of the ground, if I remember correctly, as is. So we could have that. I thought maybe we could still do something like that, but do a walking trail like what we did with Linear Park. Kind of put a walking trail back in through there so if people want to take their dogs, obviously keeping them on a leash, an opportunity to kind of walk through there and have a set path. Kids could still play, still have the green space. I'm looking to see if I have the plans from the original to share with the newer members, but any other thoughts from?
I have some friends nearby on Edgewater, and they have said they've always been over there, that they had equipment before the kids are all grown and out of it. And then my other thing I wanted to mention was last year, I think it was in the fall, we discussed having a survey that we would share with the community, and you would identify where you lived and what parks you're interested in, what you wanted there. And we were moving forward on that, and then we were told not to do that. And I feel like that would be really helpful because, you know, we can have somebody come in here and present that they want a dog park, and it sounds like they have talked to a lot of community members who want a dog park. And then you have someone come in here who can do the complete opposite, and yet you're relying on that person that took the initiative to come in and present that idea. So I just feel like that would be really helpful. That, I mean, I think we cover a good part of the community and differences of ages of kids and without kids, but it just helps to actually hear from people.
Becky, did we have any restrictions on utilizing a survey? I think there was another survey that had just recently gone out around that time, which kind of hesitated us from moving forward with it.
Well,
From what I recall, it was information that we had in the comprehensive plan. The approved comprehensive plan kind of helped dictate, give guidance to some of the parks, and
But was
didn't
that,
feel that it was necessary.
was
to
that,
have
what
this
year
survey.
was that? It seems like
2 years ago.
2016.
It seems like there was a survey referenced somewhere that was before we had even lived here.
How
I don't
often
know,
is the plan
community has
updated?
just changed.
10 years
Every 10 years
or so,
ish.
5 years, depends on how fast. So what I can tell you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I actually looked up this earlier today. I was actually talking to Councilman Anderson about this, and he lives up there, and I kind of get a feel for him. And so I pulled our comp plan out, and I'm looking this up as we speak. So we had about 380 people, give or take, who responded in some which way, sort, or form. And we can certainly get this information out. But I would say when it came to the dog park, off-leash dog park, I would say it was probably about half and half, but it would be half from no way to probably not to probably yes. So I wouldn't say that it was an overwhelming response of people who said from the off-leash dog park. But again, we had everything in there from playgrounds to skateboard park, ice skating, baseball, softball, tennis courts, on down. So if you haven't looked at it, I would encourage you to look at it. It is up on the website, I know, where you can get a hard copy down here, probably to check out at City Hall. I don't know how many hard copies we've got available. But so anyway, there is that survey that was, it was pretty in-depth at the time. But again, of, the entire community, you had 380 people, give or take, who seemed to respond in some which way, sort of form. That's pretty typical.
Is that? What percentage is that?
Very small. From then, I'd say, we're 5,000 plus now. So
Yeah.
about as many people as vote.
Yeah.
Actually, that's pretty good turnout for our surveys.
Yeah, I would echo that.
I think that because the money's already been appropriated by the council, that we should proceed with that infrastructure that we're gonna put in, because that will be conducive no matter what you guys decide to do. But of course, that's you guys' choice. Randy can better inform you about what they're gonna get done this year and when they'll start in the spring, or
The infrastructure for that was mainly the fencing around it.
Fence, we're
Water,
doing water and
and-
electric. The fencing, we had talked to a previous homeowner, Stufflebeams, that lived up there, in exchange for pulling out his fence and taking out some trees and stumps, and we're gonna put a fence back. Now, that was Stufflebeam. I'm not sure what the new homeowner thinks about that, but that's something to think about anyway, so.
It sounded like some of the residents last week didn't want a fence dividing them from.
The impression I got. The one presentation that, I don't remember the resident's name, I apologize, had this whole kind of a flower garden full park. How difficult on the Parks Department would that be to maintain, keeping weeds out, keeping it clean?
For one thing, we don't have Parks Department.
Or not Parks Department, I mean Public Works, sorry.
I had talked about that with Mike. Those all sound really great, but I kind of compare it a little bit with the community garden. It started off nice, but then it grew up into weeds for the next 3 years.
That's my
I don't know what Pleasantville or Altoona has for help. I don't know if they have volunteers. I don't know. I guess I don't really know who's responsible for all that, but it would be some labor, a lot of labor.
That's kind of what I thought was, yeah, it's not just a one-time thing.
Right.
Obviously you can plant the flowers, that'll just reoccur every year, and you don't have to do that piece, but just the annual keep up, Public Works would be quite a bit.
Are those, one of the thoughts I kept having last month when we had was this idea of community parks and community gardens and how do you get more community involvement and ownership.
So are the community citizen groups, I apologize, I can't remember the name of those, but community groups where you have, are those very active? Are those that we could use for some?
You could try. From my opinion, it's it's kind of been a year experiment so far. They had their most recent meeting like a week or so ago, and it's kind of like with every group, they're active when they come to the meetings. And other than than that, I think that it's kind of, you know, what they do within their own little circle. So, I mean, I hope that it turns into more, but right now it's not.
My mind was like we could easily say now, like, let's go with the improvements we already talked about that we have funded for, which is essentially getting it ready to be like electric and water and those things. You're not committing to anything at that point about what type of park it is, just getting the infrastructure. But as far as like moving forward with all of our park developments, we wanted grants, we wanted help. I know that's what I feel like I have background in help, but they should be community groups for
Help drive
Does that make
what we
sense?
want to do.
Yeah, so that's why I was trying to think of a vehicle to get, you know, if that area around Dock Summers Park, if these 11 people on this list that said no are really passionate and want to put a grant in or something, you know, that's a great thing for them to do and provide whatever support to do that. But I mean, financially, we can't do more than really what we've already talked about at this point anyways.
And I think that would probably need to be a discussion at one of those meetings. I mean, for as long as I've lived here, I'm not a grant, I've never done a grant, but I mean, I would never have thought as a homeowner to do a grant for the park that the city, in my opinion, would take care of. Not saying it can't happen, but it might be something we need to make people more aware of.
Yeah, I don't know how the city, I just know coming from like a playground background that that's often how parks get developed is community fundraisers, builds, more.
We like free money.
I don't know how you feel about
I don't know how you.
Free money,
And then there's
like free money.
Yeah, like you said, there's the maintenance, so
Yeah.
if you can get something, you still have to maintain it, that's not.
So Josh, if I might, so Randy and I were talking a little bit right before the meeting, and so I talked to both Jack and Leslie Timmy both before the meeting. I encouraged Leslie and Jack to come. They obviously did a lot of homework, and then I talked to them after the meeting as well. When I point blank said, hey, what do you guys want up there? They leave it as it is. You know, we want a picnic table, we want a bench. We'd be real happy with that. In order to get off dead center, I think from where we are right now, what we need to do is we've got to get out for bid on the scope of work that we had going with Snyder. Bring that back, figure out where we're at with 12 Oaks and Lost Lakes particularly, see where we're at phase 1, phase 2 with those, if we can do them this year, or if it's got to be done the following. And then make some further decisions on Simmer Park. But I mean, I don't think there's any decisions necessarily. I think the main thing that we need to know moving forward is there going to be a dog park? And if there is, then we need to move forward with that conceptual plan with Snyder in order to bring back bids. If there's not, I think it's kind of going back to square one a little bit. And, you know, big picture discussion of what do you ultimately want that to become. But I don't think that that's necessarily even a decision that needs to be made yet tonight. My general opinion is that concept that you've got, I remember when, like 3 or 4 years ago, when that was being discussed, and you know, for that little bit of playground equipment, it was like $125,000.
Yeah, it was not cheap.
It was insane. So, you know, again, I think that if the general feel from the residents up there are saying, hey, we're happy with what it is, great, put a couple pads. I mean, we were just talking about what would it take to get a couple pads up there. We're going to be doing Davis Street reconstruction project this spring, summer. Get a concrete truck to come over, throw a couple pads over there. The picnic tables and benches are expensive, but at least it'd be a start. You could at least do something over there and then have further discussion about what it's going to become. But again, if those residents up there aren't necessarily barking to have anything else done, great.
And why would we talk about listening to the community?
Yeah.
I apologize for.
Oh, you look horrible, Dave.
Yeah.
Came off the Hobo train, but if we are truly considerate of what the communities want and what they want in their backyards per se, I think we have to think about it, and we can't just think about I mean, I have 2 dogs. I don't know if I'd take the dog park or not, but it's not up to me necessarily. It's those that have to live in that area and put up with, whatever may come with the repercussions of our decisions. So I think, to your point, I think it really needs to be, let's leave it like it is and not spend the money that we would have to and put it into other parks that we know what the vision really is, beautification. And if the community comes out and says we want to do this, I think it's great. It's really, with Community Garden, it was good for a year or two, and it ended up costing a whole bunch of money and their time. Again, a great concept, but we all start gung-ho, and then it just kind of fades away a little bit. But I don't think it's a bad idea at all, maybe for that to sit. Why not talk about it? Maybe somebody has that experience within the group, we don't know what their experience is. So I think to your point, why go in a direction that we essentially, they don't want, and we care, but we don't particularly care specifically with having the park there, not the dog park.
And I guess I'd also say lean on Public Works a little bit as far as what needs to be done up there for maintenance and stuff. You know, again, like a couple of years ago when we went in and cleaned all the trees out, but drainage and others in it, there's more of that type of stuff that needs to be done to prepare for down the road improvements. Great, but you know,
We put in what, probably $100,000.
70 to 80.
I mean,
By the time you pay for the park
with
and
labor and
what we've
different
done,
things,
yeah, absolutely.
so that's pretty considerable thing to piece of ground. I know we talked about that. So anyway,
Mr. Anderson?
I think the Simmers went away with a lot better feeling than they had when they came in last time. Dave, you guys, you did a great job conveying. I don't think they realized how expensive playground equipment was and how we don't just need it in one park. And when I went outside and talked to them a little bit, they would really be happy to see benches and picnic tables up there as a beginning and see where it goes from there. If that's what you guys desire, I think that would.
yeah.
I just think they went away with a lot better feeling hearing it.
Good, that was kind of the goal, and I was hoping they would continue to come. I mean, I know that was one thing we kind of finished with, was trying to get more people to come and provide your opinions, and to your point, Jason, you know, when you asked what do they want, they were hands off, but so we'll continue with what we're doing here, but my personal recommendation would be to continue with the infrastructure. Let's get the water and the electric in there, get that bidded out, because regardless of what we do with the park, I think it'll be good shape for it. And then we can make the decisions after we see those bids and where the other two parks come in on what, you know, what else we want in there. And I mean, maybe we want to consider chain linking it all in to quoting out bidding for just those pads for some of the tables and stuff. So our recommendation to council then would be to continue with the electric and water infrastructure, to price out what some pads would be for tables instead of fencing it all in.
Can you remind me, is there electric and?
I was just asking him about that. I don't
know if we had a need for electric.
Was there not electric?
It
Was
may
it
have
just
just been
water?
water.
Might have just been water.
The
I don't
electric,
think it was gonna be lit.
the electric tied in with the, that little building for the dogs.
Oh,
So,
so if we're not gonna need that, then we can pull the electric out then.
correct.
When I picture what Councilman Anderson had said, I picture kind of the little green spaces up at Big Creek, and how that would really mimic some of those. And those are so well used throughout the seasons that if that's something that the residents are really interested in, it would be like having that, like a little, kind of like a Big Creek little alcove just right there in town.
And about the shelters and like little charcoal grill.
Yeah, just the space where, and that's not always perfectly flat ground, and kids run around, and this is nice.
That could be great for that phase two when we add in that piece.
Mhm.
That get you.
Disc golf or something.
If you'd want to do the shelter in like that, would we want to consider keeping the electricity in there for lighting within the shelter? I'm trying to think, like the ones out at Sandpiper, I think have it. I don't know if the ones at Big Creek do. They have some lighting.
Kicks on at night or something.
I like the idea of some of the little disc golf holes too, but that could probably get, well, that was
How much are those
that was
used
a
out
wink
at
wink.
Kiwanis Park? Isn't there one out there?
Ron's the disc golf guy. Used to be.
Used to be.
Or are you still a slinger? Do you still sling a golf?
Disc
Oh,
golf.
yeah, yeah. In fact, I was playing however many years it was over across the lake, and there was three people from other people from Polk City playing there. And they said, boy, it'd be nice to have one of these in
A full course
City.
though, not just
yeah,
one or
full
two
course.
holes.
And I explained to them, we don't have real estate for a full
Yeah.
course in our
Is it-
unit. They said, well, it'd be nice to have a couple baskets just to practice.
Don't we
Yeah.
have one down at?
We have two of them down there. I've yet to see those three individuals down there practice.
That's not, I don't
That
think I've
don't
seen.
mean they
I don't think
haven't
I've
been
seen
there.
anybody down there,
The
but
difference is Kiwanis is back to no.
Right,
Yeah.
This is homes, and
walkable.
your three boys, they had one in your backyard
Yeah,
out there throwing at that thing because that's what boys do is throw rocks
we're frisbees.
or frisbees, the rocks. But
so let's send our recommendation to council. Continue with the infrastructure, with the water and the concrete pads. and kind of move forward with that as our phase one. Then we can look at what phase two would be, adding the shelters, adding the tables, and those types of components.
So
How
like,
far do you wanna go with the water? Want a fountain too? Or just water stuffed?
I'd say a water fountain.
so kind of a theme of relaxation and recreation, but lots of green and.
Green walking space, kids can go play frisbee, play football, baseball, whatever it might be.
Can't go wrong with that.
I see a lot of people up there now walking their dogs, all leashed. They're all people that live right up there.
Yeah.
I saw, furthest one I've seen is a guy that lives down at Edgewater. He had his lab up there, off the leash on the tennis. Doing great.
Do you see more people now that the sign has been up since you live close by? Or did you feel like it was used quite a bit before the sign?
No, it's, well, the sign and all the improvements.
The cleaning up of it, yeah.
That was big, because if in the spring, you had to wade across water to get up on the hill to do anything. So the improvements that our staff has done
Has drawn
increased
people in.
use.
Yeah, that's great.
When you bid out, just a random question, when you bid out the water fountain, is it different depending on the type you would bid out? Meaning some parks you see that have like built-in water bowl for the dogs. They got like faucet at the bottom, split up. That's
Sure, you
pretty
could probably
minimal, right, difference. You would request
Price?
Yeah.
it. No idea, right?
I haven't, I think we had that price. I'd have to go back and look. But I think we did price that.
I like that idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Any other discussion on that? You got what you need, Becky? To take the council? Perfect. Thank you, guys. Ken?
No report, just a thank you to Public Works for taking care of the recommendations we made at the last meeting on some trimming and removal issues. Everything else is good.
Perfect. Thank
I
you.
enjoy your company.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
You got the new guy?
Council report. Dave, you have anything?
Nothing for the good of the cause, really. I think we've discussed the biggest, the thing that we needed to talk about, make a decision on.
Public Works?
Nothing to report other than we added a few lights at the square, 3 more trees, and then we put some lighting up around the bandstand. We might next year maybe address that bandstand a little bit more, throw some more lights at it. But
Lights in it? So
I'm running out of light or trees to put lights on. So.
Guaranteed to work tomorrow night, throw a switch, right?
That's what's going to be my one question.
I'm gonna be at basketball.
Okay, I just want your personal guarantee when that switch gets thrown.
Have them on
It'll be
speed
like
dial.
a Clark Griswold.
We used to have that. Did you know that?
I think.
Oh, yeah. They used to have public works guys hiding out in the bushes when they throw the switch. Yeah, right? Did you ever use to
They
do
were all holding their breath.
when back in the day before we fixed all our electrical, we'd have guys back there pulling plugs together.
Oh.
We
Public works guys.
walk around now trying to tape them all together.
Years ago, didn't the kid knock it apart?
Oh,
You had to
they-
go find the plug.
Just
Oh.
last year, I did like 6 or 7 of them. They just kick them. Well, they can't see them. They trip them.
Oh, yeah.
In all seriousness, though, these guys really do a really
They do
good
a
job
great
on it, and they really take it personally. And I
It
think
looks
that
great every year.
They
too.
do a fantastic job on it.
It's our little Hallmark movie of the year.
These guys need to be credited a lot for all the work.
I'm just afraid it's going to get boring. I mean, it looks really nice, but there's only so much. We try to buy ground effects now to add every year, but we're trying to. It's hard to keep adding to it, you know.
Perfect. Well, thank you for what you do with that.
If memory serves me, that originated with Parks Commission, that whole square lighting,
We'll take
including
credit
the
for it.
decorating.
Our old predecessors.
We'll take care of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll take credit there.
I spent a couple Saturdays down here just on hanging the lights.
Rode his horse down here too, tied the division post.
Very happy that Public Works does the job they do. And certainly don't mind paying.
No, I agree. Thank you. For commission, I know I do have one thing I want us to discuss. Had a recommendation from Councilman Anderson previously, and I think it's something that we should move forward with. Ken, for all the service and everything you've done for this city, for me personally, through Boy Scouts as a kid 25 years ago to what you've done now, I would like to make the recommendation to rename Westside Park Morris Park.
You're the Parks Commission. I don't have.
You approve?
I'm sure. I didn't ask for that.
No, you didn't. And
That's what makes
we know you
That's
didn't.
what makes it special.
And for all, I mean, you've lived on West Side. As far as I've ever known you. I mean, the 40 years I've lived in this town, and it's home for you. It's every time I go past your house on West Side, I look over for the truck. Always see the truck over there, and it just makes sense to me. Now,
And
we've had side conversations, I think, with everybody on here, and we're all kind of in agreement with that. And whether it's Morris Park, whatever other options we want to consider, we feel with all the work you've done specifically for that park, it really should hold your name for generations to come.
I would remind you that that park was started in memory of my wife with, money for her memorial, and I would be on.
Thank you.
that being said, do you have, and you don't have to let us know now, but if you had any idea of maybe how you would like it named, or if it's more than just Morse Park, then you could.
I would defer that to the Parks Commission, and you need to think about, the future of the park and the city and how you.
Well, I brought this forward, and I've been thinking about it for a long time, and wanted to get the family's input, of course, but I knew we had to get, because they'd never bring it forward, they're never asked, so we had to get the ball rolling. I think it's more than appropriate. I'm very confident in saying if it wasn't for Ken Morris, that park would be there.
I would agree.
It wouldn't be, it wouldn't be there, period, but now it's there, and then he's done almost single-handedly all the work.
It's not done.
There's more to come. We're going to get that stump in there that you can climb through it.
I'm still working.
Yeah, when anybody takes kids there and educates them, it's Ken.
Yep.
Which I know he enjoys.
I'm honored, thank you.
Council, do we like Morris Park? Fits in with how we've done.
Can I make a recommendation?
Yes, you may.
Can we talk about it as a family, bring back a recommendation?
That's what we want, yeah.
Yep.
Then we can order a sign.
Thank you.
I like that.
Perfect. Any other commission items? Okay. Motion.
I've got one quick thing before you adjourn, because in all reality, I did come here. Sorry, I had to lie to you on the phone to get you here to make sure he was going to come, but anyway.
He always does.
I know. I texted him earlier. I'm like, hey, are you coming to the meeting? And he said, why? And I said, because I'm coming. Just want to make sure you be here. But anyway, thank you, Ron. Ron did bring this up a couple months ago, and I kind of obviously pulled back from it and said, run with it, and I appreciate it. But in all reality, I did want to come tonight to thank you guys all. Thank you all for the time that you put in. I've been able to get out to a couple other commission meetings here in the last month, and so I'm trying to make the rounds, and I was able to get to you guys tonight, so I appreciate all you guys do. There was a certain person that is here that taught me at a very young age, if you're going to live in a community, you're going to give back. And here about a month ago, I had the opportunity to go speak to a group of kids at the junior high, and it was about leadership and community involvement. And I was honored they asked me, but to have the opportunity kind of came full circle for me. But to tell them, how I came to be, and again, a lot of what I am, part of the reason I'm where I am, is because he instilled in me at a young age, like you know, about if you're going to live in a community, you're going to give back. It's not a good paying job up there. Take a lot of shots. Sometimes residents show up and they're not happy about decisions you've made. But thank you guys for all the time you guys put in, and I do appreciate all you do. You make our job a lot easier when our commissions are functioning as well as you guys. So thank you.
Perfect. Anything additional? Motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
I think they have to.
I recommend
We got time on it.
Yeah, you run that one by the mayor.
Hey,
What's that?
can we have fireworks at the square lighting?
Greg's like,